And you get a picture of that bear and put it in the third spot of
Probably Craig the Bear.
it's Moon the bear.
That's right. Oh man. All right, I got a hello internet. How's everybody doing?
Hello, hello.
Got to paste the links here on Blue Sky. Let's get those bad boys here. Boop. Hope everyone's doing okay. Wario64 about Death Stranding 2 already posted the picture of the new guy from Death Stranding 2 and just wrote, definitely not Solid Snake.
Yeah, I mean, you could call him Pliskin. I mean,
I mean,
that's not Metal Gear.
that's what this dude looks like.
Uh-huh.
Definitely not Solid Snake. Definitely not Metal Gear
Metal Gear,
Rex.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited for whatever that thing is going to be. I'm probably in a blackout, media blackout at this point, because I feel
Yeah.
like this is the time where he starts releasing the like 30-minute trailers of like showing way too much. I'm not gonna.
And you'll get the stuff that you need to know, like another flying whale that's on fire that has
Exactly.
nothing to really
Exactly.
do with anything.
All
So,
the normal stuff.
yeah,
Hey there in chat,
the stuff that
Stalker Mike. How's it going?
hey, all the stuff that we love and enjoy from Kojima.
That's right. And like part of the thing for Kojima, I think, is like you just need to take the ride.
Yeah,
Like whether the ride's going to be good or bad, it's going to be unique and it's going to be a ride.
but I think he has enough history of I may not entirely enjoy what this is,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna enjoy some part of it though.
And I'm gonna like respect the hell out of it. Of like, well,
Yeah.
no one else is doing it like this, so okay,
Well,
let's
especially with
strap
everyone
in.
that was giving him crap for like scanning in like all the celebrities for the first
Hmm.
Death Stranding game, and everyone making fun of him about that. And I was like, well, actually, yeah, the Conan thing was kind of funny, but
Funny
whatever.
and
But
odd.
the rest of it was like, okay, no, that having reads on there, good,
Hmm.
good, okay. Yeah, the Monster Energy drink cans,
That's right.
funny.
He scanned in George Miller for this one. Like
Yeah, it's like
scanning
whatever.
everybody. You want to scan me in? I'll get scanned,
Exactly. I'll show up in a game.
even if it hurts a little. I'll let Kojima scan me. All right, are we ready to get started?
Yes.
All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is the Nimp.
Hello.
Moon is out sick this week. Hopefully, he has a speedy recovery and feels better soon. Which means I'm going to put Nimp in the hot seat for patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
Don't forget to go over there. $5 a month is recommended tier. That gets you everything, including the uncensored exclusive Outcast. So when we're talking about all the cool stuff that aren't video games this week, including Death Stranding 2, Being Sick, Ninja Turtles comic, the delicious flavors of Fago, IT challenges. It's got it all.
Yep.
Get
We
all
took a
that.
wide swath of everything.
Yeah, just like a cool half an hour of everything. Um, you get early access to We Rogue Like It and Critical Misses. You get exclusive access to the Critical Misses production meeting. Should have a new one coming up here pretty soon. Season 36, I think it is. That was a good one. And you get exclusive access to the Wayward Sons Supernatural TV show watchcast that Moon and Nimp are going through.
Yep.
All of that over at patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
All right, Nimp, what have you been playing? As my voice cracks already at the beginning. What have
I
you
was
been
gonna
playing
say.
this past week? I've been sick this last week too, so like by the grace of God, I'm still here. I'm not sure physically at the very least.
Well, I wouldn't be doing my moon diligence if I didn't ask, was there anything that you forgot to say up front of
No.
anything up and coming?
No, because we're sort of in between things. The only thing we have coming up, I think it's this weekend, is Game Club for Bloom and Rage. No, Lost Records Bloom and Rage Tape 1. That's coming
Okay.
up. That's coming up this week. So,
All
more than
right.
likely.
So, I've dabbled with some stuff this week,
Oh,
let's
okay.
say. Still only two games, but I did play a little bit of Daybreak too.
Okay.
Um, so I have completed the prologue. I am now in chapter one, and chapter one starts out where you actually get to pick which there's like an A and a B route that you can take,
Okay.
and you can pick which route you're going to start playing. And the only thing that you have to go off of is like, hey, Act 1A has these three people will be in your party. Act
Mm.
1B, these three people will be in your party, and you're given a location for each one.
Okay.
That's it. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go with Act 1A. That's got Van in it, and it's got a couple different two other characters in there as well. And we are going to go over to this other port city where they're apparently shooting a movie, and it's an action movie.
Okay.
It basically starts out with Van hiding behind a car getting shot at,
Mm.
and it's like, oh, this is went from 0 to 60 like real quick, and
Right.
then as it progresses, you're like, oh, they're filming a movie. That's what's happening because there are
Right.
two known actresses in this game that all of a sudden show up later. And it's like, okay, cool. So this is what's happening with that. You complete that set, and now the story objective is everyone's taking a break from filming right now, and you are looking after or you're looking for any information about the old mafia group from the first game called Almada.
Okay.
They were dispersed at the end of the game. All the cops and the guilds and everyone is pretty much wrapping up, arresting everybody, seizing assets and all that stuff. But you're still kind of keeping an ear to the ground, looking for people that maybe have slipped through the cracks and some other
Mm.
information that's going on. It's like, okay, cool. Just run around, talk to an owner of a strip club, which I forgot the first game had a strip club because that was the first time that has been introduced in this
Oh,
series at
okay.
all. And you don't see anything. It is a pretty sure, yeah, it's a T-rated game.
Okay.
So it's like it's not a full-on strip club, but it's still funny when I walked through the door. I'm like, all right, this is in the series now.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yep. Got it.
um, but yeah, so I've found some information, and I'm being very light because a lot of this is like first game spoiler territory. If
That's
anyone's
kind of the
interested in
hard
playing
part
the first
about
one,
talking about any of these games when it's not the first one. It's sort of like
yeah,
it takes place directly after the end of the first one, so you
yeah,
kind of
it's
have to
it's
know
just
that
the wrap
stuff.
up basically. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm still enjoying it. They have introduced a virtual reality system in this game now.
Okay.
Um, the whole concept of this is that it was in this virtual reality world, like straight out of Sword Art Online kind of thing,
Hmm.
where it's like you put on the gear, you are mentally transported to this place, you can feel and react and do everything like you normally would.
Mm.
It's
If you die in the
it's
Matrix, etc.
kind of yeah. But someone has hijacked this, and no one's in there. This was like pre-release. They were still kind of messing with the environment, so it's not like anyone's trapped in here or anything. But you are tasked with trying to explore these areas and figure out, okay, who hijacked this and what are they doing with it?
Oh, okay.
And these areas are basically just areas where you just run around and there's just enemy. It's just like a dungeon map where it's like you're just running around killing things, and you get set objectives. Like kill four small enemy types, and then that will open up the gateway to go into the next level of this area.
Ah, okay.
The whole point of this is just to basically be like, hey, you get like all these shards and stuff for defeating these monsters and for breaking certain objects in the environment. You can use these shards to play this gotcha thing that's in the game.
Oh no.
Yeah. None, no microtransactions. This is
Okay.
purely just
Whew.
in-game stuff. Yes. And it's all, you see the whole list of everything. You've got like, this will give you like common items or rare items, uncommon items, super rare items, this kind of thing. And it's a mix
Mm.
between just like, you put these mini tokens. I'm trying to think of, you basically, all these shards that you get, you hold down X at a certain screen and it fills a bar. And there's a chance while it's filling that bar that that box that you're about to open can turn into, it starts out as just a common box and it can turn into a rare box, which is like gold, or like this
Mm.
prismatic colored box, which gives you like a ton of items. And
Does it
all
do
of
that
it,
horrible thing where it like it gets shinier and more impressive as it goes like boop boop
it
boop
does.
boop?
Yeah.
Ah,
It
I
doesn't
love and hate
necessarily
that.
grow, but the shine gets a
Mm-hmm.
lot more. And even the bar that you're using to fill, because it's normally like a blue bar that's loading,
Mm-hmm.
it'll change colors. So if the box turns gold, that bar turns gold. And if it turns prismatic, the bar turns prismatic.
Oh,
So
that's devious. I
it's
love
just
it.
stupid. But yeah, so this gives you like everything from like healing items to like costumes and accessories to equip on
Oh
characters
wow.
to just like more soundtracks for the game for you to
Oh
unlock. So
wow. Okay.
it's kind of just like this extra side thing. It's like, hey, you want extra content, you want to be able to like grind in this area,
Mm-hmm.
do it in this area, and you'll also get like all this extra,
Okay.
fluff
That's
stuff
pretty
that you
cool.
could potentially want. Yeah. So it's like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll do that. So I've cleared two areas now, and it's just, yeah, do the objective, move on to the next thing. Do the objective, move on to the next thing. Oh, you cleared it. Here's all the shards you get. Open up your box.
Oh,
Do
okay.
that.
Interesting.
The box can also give you a skill seed, which this is new for this game as well from the first one, where you can actually upgrade the skills of your characters, the S crafts that they have.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but it's not like huge leaps and bounds stuff. It's like, okay, we're increasing everything like a couple of percentiles or,
Mm.
something. So it's
So
just
it's
like little
more like the seeds
modifiers.
from Dragon Quest, where it's like you get one
Yeah.
more strength, you get
Yep.
two more HP.
So it's not gonna break the game, but like I dumped like all the points that everyone first got, I dumped into their oh, I forgot what they call it again. Their super tier, like their
Mm.
in-game one-hit kill kind of move.
Oh, okay, sure.
Um, the thing that I spammed
Right.
throughout this entire series, and these are the games that are like, yeah, we should probably do something about that so people stop spamming it all the time.
Yeah, we're good.
Which, well, what they did with it though, it's not drastically different. You can still spam those in game or those finalities. I forget what they actually call them now, but anyway, like their final moves. You
Hmm.
can still spam those. It's just there's a little bit of a recharge time, and it's
Oh,
kind of a
okay.
little easier if you know what you're doing than the old system. But I'm sure like I'm gonna find a certain courts set up with like magic and everything, and just be able to blow through the game because these games are always easily broken once you find
Yeah.
just the right setup. So yeah, which is great because the hard difficulties for these games are stupid difficult.
But also,
So
like, I've always found that to be kind of the appeal of JRPGs. Of like, I found the best weapon, and I did a side quest for the best armor, and they synergize, and this skill makes them really strong. So, like,
yep.
40 hours in, I'm just rolling over everything. It's like, yeah, great, I love it.
Yeah.
That's what I should be able to do.
And honestly, like most of the series, like if you find like a certain like magic setup or equipment setup that you're enjoying, you can use that from the start to the end.
Oh, nice.
Like there's no reason for you not being able to. You may make it a little difficult when you get like a skill check boss or something like that, but
Hmm.
like there's been, especially in like the Cold Steel series, where it's like I would have like a certain magic setup with all my courts where it's like, no, I'm spamming this, and then this, and
Yep,
that
got
usually
your
wipes the
rotation.
floor with everything. Exactly. And
Right.
then every once in a while I would hit a boss where it's like, okay, that did like a quarter health. So
Right.
we're gonna kind of pivot a little bit and try something else. But it's like
Yeah.
it never put me on the back. Like I was never on my back foot trying to figure out, it's like, oh
Right.
crap, I'm screwed now because this didn't one shot,
Yeah, it didn't
so
like you didn't do your rotation. It's like 2 damage. It's like, oh
yeah.
no.
Yeah, that's it. That's where I'm at right now. Picking up with more movie magic here in a little bit with this game because they got more things to film, so
That's
that'll
fine.
be interesting to see. But I only had a couple minutes with this game, so I was like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna save and leave it here.
Mhm.
And my next game, which is just Kingdom Come Deliverance,
Oh yeah.
I also only played a little bit of this week, and I kind of didn't want to at first because I was just mentally drained. My new accelerated class started this past week, so like it's
Mm.
been reading a lot and figuring things out, and then starting the process all over again this week.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't really want to start this game up back up just because I was at the beginning of it, but as I continued to play this a little bit more, I was like, actually, this is like kind of soothing when I'm not being attacked by random bandits. Or
Right.
the music is nice. Like I had my headset on to play podcasts while I was just going through the fields and stuff looking for things. And I was finding that's like, yeah, I have my headset on, but I've just been listening to like the music and
Mm.
like the water and
Just kind of
the
like enjoying
animals and stuff.
the kind of
Yeah.
open worldness of it.
Yeah, it's like it was just soothing enough that I would just zone out and be like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I was actually going to listen to, this podcast or whatever." And
Right.
so, where I'm at with this now is I am still in the town that Teresa brought me to save me from when Skalitz got attacked and where I just got messed up.
Mm.
And Henry cannot, your main character's name's Henry, cannot keep his mouth shut when it comes to nobles, apparently.
Okay.
Um, where there is this area that you're in, there's a young up and coming noble who is currently being watched over by an older noble until this one comes of age, and then he'll pass on everything onto them so that way they can take over.
Mm.
And of course, this guy is an absolute, what you would think of a noble, of being just the younger guy, just being an absolute bad person, kind of.
Okay. Like your
So,
your standard fantasy noble of just like, oh, they're the
yes.
worst.
Yeah, peasants are below me and all
Right.
this stuff. And somehow Henry has managed to run his mouth enough where Sir Roderick, who is his lord,
Mm.
has decided to take him under him and start to have him trained as kind of like a squire.
Oh, okay.
So, and that ruffles a lot of feathers with a
Mm.
lot of people. I'm like, great, way to get out there, Henry, and just kick off everybody who's
Right.
currently
You're
sitting here who could
making
kill you.
literally everybody mad, buddy.
Yeah. Luckily, the captain who you go to train with, who was there and was not very happy about this, he chills out while training you.
Mm.
So, because I figured this was going to be like a complete, like, oh yeah, he gives me this wooden sword, and he is just beating me with the back of his metal sword, kind of thing.
Right.
But no, so from this captain, I actually learned the battle system, and
Oh,
that's what I
interesting.
talked about, last time. So after getting through that, I did that a couple more times just so I can kind of build up like my sword skill and some of my vitality and stuff like that. Just because it does kind of have like that Morrowind and Skyrim feel of the more you use an ability kind of thing, you start to
Mm.
earn experience in it, and then you kind of level it up, and then you're more proficient with it. So when I got done with that, the young noble was giving me all kinds of crap, and Henry could not keep his mouth shut and
course.
ended up challenging the noble at archery.
Okay.
And luckily for me, I already had the mod on, so that way I have that little aiming reticule in the middle. Because,
Yeah,
like
we
I said
talked about
last
that
time,
last week.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that made that so much easier to finally hit targets. Because I was doing okay. Before you get challenged, you do have like a couple like attempts at the targets, and you're getting pointers from the captain, and so you do get a couple shots off and you do start to get a feel for it, but those targets are far enough away and your proficiency is garbage with a bow that you are swaying everywhere.
Mm.
So like I'm waiting for that reticle to just like go over the target, not stop,
Get
just
anywhere
kind of,
near it.
yeah, just flag it, and then I just release and,
Right.
and then hit the target. So you do okay. The noble challenges you, and he basically says, "If you beat me, I'll give you my bow."
Dang. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
let's do it.
And of course, yeah, and Henry can't, like I said, keep his mouth shut, and it kind of goes off, and you do the thing, and you both start shooting at the same time, and I think you have like 8 or 10 arrows or something like that, and whoever
Okay.
has the most points at the end wins this match. I managed to win. He had like 600 points, and I had like 800 points
Okay.
somehow.
Nice.
I was like, cool. Get the guy's bow. It is a really good bow. I cannot use it because my skills are not high enough to use it.
Bummer.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. But this enrages the noble now
Of course.
because a peasant has beaten him and now he's angry.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's like, well, if you're going to keep running your mouth, how about we go back to the training ground and we'll do some sword fighting?
Oh no.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, great, great. This is how this is going to go.
Yep.
Because now we're not using wooden swords anymore. We both have metal swords now.
Oh no.
Like, cool. This is going to
This is
go
where I
great.
die.
Somehow I managed to very, very barely squeak out a victory against this guy.
Oh wow.
Very barely. Like I'm talking Dark Souls level. I can't see my health bar,
Right.
but I'm somehow still alive. And he is enraged, like
Of
to the
course.
point where the captain is like, "Yo, you should go that way and just kind of not be seen."
Right, and we're gonna
for
say,
a little
look, he
bit.
went that way, the other direction.
Uh-huh. And it's like, oh my god. So win that, and that ends. Nothing bad happened yet, or at all.
Okay.
But I still have that sense of dread of like, man, we screwed this up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
something's
have to
coming for
leave
me
at
later.
midnight. Exactly.
Yeah.
Next day, you are told, hey, you were gonna meet up with this guard, Nightingale, at a church. You're gonna do a patrol around the city or the town, and this is gonna count as towards your training as a squire. It's like, all right, cool. So I go
Okay.
to the armory, I get like my kit for being a guard and all that stuff. Go hunt down Nightingale, and we do a patrol. And there's like a couple things. There's like you get a couple things that pop up. It's like, hey, let's talk to a couple people here, and these two are arguing. Let's try to end this amicably and keep everybody happy. There is a lot of, and I'm sure this is intentional by the game designers, a lot of the good Christian line being thrown around,
Sure.
and a lot of hypocrisy happening when
Of
that's
course.
being thrown around.
Yep.
So there have been several times where I've been able to use that line on people where it's like there's a beggar in front of this person's shop and he doesn't want them there anymore. And it's like, okay, well, what can we do to resolve this? It's like, well, you just need to beat them up and get them out of here so they don't come back. And one of the replies was that is not a very Christianly thing to do.
Right.
And so I shot that off.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, oh, you can get out of here with, that. And I'm like, you're the one that started asking me to beat this person up.
Right.
And also, you were, as I was walking up, yelling at this other person to be a good Christian and, do some work, which I agree with. You should try to help out instead
Right.
of being a hindrance. And so a lot of things happen, and I eventually talked this guy into, okay, look, just give them like $1 or two.
Yeah.
Just give it to them. They'll move on. You who's getting this money, the beggar, hey, they're giving you money. Move on. Don't come back here, please. Go do something else. So we end it without anyone getting hurt. Nightingale, the guard, is like, hey, you handled that in a very well-rounded Christian way. You really angered that shop owner, but honestly, you kept to your values. Good for you. I'm like,
right.
cool. All right, and we continue patrolling, and nothing bad happens. And then we get to the end of the night, and the guy's like, hey, it's the end of the night. All the taverns, all the shops close at this time. Go ring the bell 3 times, and then go to the taverns and make sure the taverns actually close.
Oh, okay.
All right, no problem. Go ring the bell. Oh, and they have this other stupid arbitrary rule of it is illegal for you to be out at night inside this town without a torch.
Okay. Okay.
I was like, okay.
Sure
So
thing.
he does give you a torch. I already had one, so I have 2 of them now. But I was like, okay. So I equip the torch and I run to the bell, ring it, run to the tavern, and our favorite young lord is sitting here
Of
drinking
course.
and joking with people. I'm like, oh my god, this is not going to go great.
Yep.
So you walk in there and it turns into a complete cutscene. You have no control over anything. They're joking, they're popping off, they're having fun, and Henry starts out respectfully being like, hey, my lord, you know, sir,
Right.
it is nighttime. We have to close down this
You don't have
tavern.
to go home.
And yeah, but even the tavern keeper comes up behind you. He's like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
Dude,
Shut up and get
dude,
out of
shut
here. And the Lord keeps going back, saying, he's like, hey, you know, no, while I'm here, this tavern stays open.
Mm.
And Henry just keeps running his mouth. And I'm like, dude, you are going to get killed. Nobody cares about you. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like, you are nobody.
Put it
okay?
away, man.
Yeah. You got winded running over here. The hell do you think you can do right now?
Yeah.
So, that turns into a whole fight.
Mm.
But the older lord who is watching over everything right now happens to come in, breaks it up, yells at both of us, me for talking back to a lord, which, yeah, dude, yeah, and for yelling at the younger lord for, hey, why are you sitting here drinking? Like, you should be doing something. Like, you can have your pleasantries, but you need to be doing something as well.
Right.
So then it turns into this whole thing about tomorrow you're going to come with me. There are two peasants that are having an argument about, I think it was like a like farmland or something like that. You're going to come with me and you're going to help figure this out.
Mm.
And then the young lord's like, well, I was going to go hunting tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And the older one's like, oh, you were going to go hunting tomorrow, eh?
Interesting.
Okay. Take Henry with you.
Oh, no.
And as soon as he said that, it's like, my God, I'm getting an arrow to the back.
Uh-huh.
Like,
I'm
what is
dead in a
going on?
field.
Yeah. And Henry tries to start talking, and the older lord's like, you need to shut up.
Mm, fair.
And I'm like, that is the smartest advice anyone has given you in this game so far. So, you were going on a hunt with a new lord now next day, and you show up with the lord, and I'm expecting this to be all kinds of, like, weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. The younger lord has actually sobered up.
Mm.
He gets on his horse, and he's like, hey, do you have a horse? And I'm like, no, I'm a peasant. I don't have a horse.
Yeah,
and he's like, oh,
We don't even have a horse.
well, I guess you're running after me then. And
Oh,
so he takes
fantastic.
off. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no.
that tracks.
That's how, yeah. Unfortunately, though, my fastest walking pace is still faster than a horse galloping. Tell me how that works.
Okay.
But
Video games.
yeah. So they start to have like an actual conversation, and the young lord has calmed down and actually apologizes. He's like, hey, look, I know I was really deep in my cups last night. You were not helping by talking back to me,
Fair.
but I understand that is not how a lord should act.
All right.
And Henry, I have the choices to be able to pick this time, so Henry isn't just spouting off nonsense.
Right.
And so we kind of just leave it at, okay, you know, yeah, we both were in the wrong. I was
Right.
more in the wrong for talking back to you, kind of thing.
Right.
And we continue on with the hunting trip. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is going to go one of two ways. I'm still getting an arrow in the back because
sure.
he's just placating me right now.
Yep.
Or maybe we can salvage that.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the camp. It's already too late in the day to go hunting. So the Lord's like, all right, go get my wine and like bacon. I think he had bacon or something on his horse. He's like, go get that for me. Bring it over here to the camp. We'll sit here and we'll eat and we'll talk. And he wants to know how Skalitz, you know, what happened in Skalitz during the attack.
Oh, okay.
And I had to force Henry to talk because the entire time he's like, I don't want to talk about it, which I understand. You saw your parents get killed right in front of you. However, this is a pivotal moment here in whether or not you wake up in the morning or not.
Right.
So we're going to indulge the new lord.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, we talk about it. Everything's fine. New lord seems real keen on Henry now. Not like
Okay.
super keen, but like better. We're talking.
Yeah.
And they're kind of giving jabs at each other. I'm like, cool. Maybe we'll survive this.
Right.
And then things go a little sideways with the joke. Not anything major, but a competition comes up where it's like, okay, now, because you've ran your mouth again, let's have a little friendly competition. Let's see who can hunt, I guess, the most rabbits in this area. I was
Okay.
like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And you get a bow. He basically tells you if you didn't have a bow on you already, like if you lost that challenge with them, it's like, hey, in that chest over there's like old gear that we keep in there and some arrows if you don't have anything, which I needed it because I can't use the awesome bow that I have now.
Right.
So it's like, all right, this one is more towards my stats. There's a ton of arrows in here. Where do I go to hunt? And the map is like, I don't know, go find rabbits. And I'm like,
Thanks.
cool. So
Super good.
I walk up a hill and I see something moving, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. There's some rabbits here. And I go to shoot a rabbit, and I cannot hit a rabbit to save my life. And every time you miss, like the arrow explodes. Like I don't have the capacity or the leveling to like grab your arrow from the ground or anything. It
Oh,
looks like
okay.
they just shatter. And maybe it's the type of arrow as well. Maybe because it's a poorer quality, they just shatter if they don't hit an enemy. Because when I was eventually able to hit rabbits, I could get my arrow back, and I could get the meat from them.
Oh, okay.
So, and the dog does an awesome thing because Mutt's been following me this entire time too. I just had him on free roam this entire time, so he just does whatever. If I shot and killed a rabbit, he would actually run out there, grab the rabbit, and bring it back. I was like, oh, okay,
Oh,
cool.
nice.
So after a while, I started having like little mounds of rabbit carcasses all around me because I started getting better with shooting, more proficient. And then the rabbits stopped spawning. I'm like, oh crap. So I go looking around for rabbits, and I see one off in the distance, and I'm getting ready to take my shot. And to the bottom left of the screen, I see like little ears poke up, and all of a sudden, like rabbits start spawning around me. And I'm like, what is going on? I must have just freaked out the game or something with its spawn rate, because all of a sudden there's like rabbits everywhere. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I just start picking them all off, and I win.
Nice.
Which the young lord is fine with. We decide we need to hunt a boar before we go back.
Oh, of course.
And this is getting towards the end of where I'm at right now. It's like, okay, cool. We find a boar. The young lord is about to shoot him with an arrow, and Henry's like, hey, like, boars aren't something you can normally take down with an arrow. You usually have to have a spear for that. The nobleman's like, watch and learn. And he shoots the boar. Boar goes down. And the nobleman's basically like, yeah, you see that? Maybe think about that the next time you got to open up your mouth to me about hunting. And while he's giving you the business, the boar stands back up and runs away.
Great.
They both just kind of look at each other, and the Lord swears, jumps on his horse, and just takes after the boar. And so now you have the new mission objective of figure out where everyone just went.
Right.
Because everyone left you behind.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. And you have this search. This time I did have a search area that I could look around in.
Oh, okay.
And I find him tied to a post because a bunch of what they're calling Kumans in this game have found the prince, shot his horse. The horse bucked the lord, not the prince, I'm sorry. The horse bucked the lord off, and so they captured him. I was like, okay, well, they didn't notice me, so I walk up, untie the prince, or God, I did it again, the lord, and that starts a fight with everybody in the camp.
Oh, okay.
And this is not a game where you want to fight more than one thing at a time.
Right.
It goes poorly very quickly. And it did. So I was like, okay, cool. That's an easier way to go about this. I know there's at least two people. One of them, I reload my save because I died. And I leave the Lord still tied to the post. And I see one guy sitting on a stump next to the campfire. And I'm like, I have some stealth. Let me see if I can stealth up on him and kill him.
Right.
Yes and no. I could stealth up on him, but I could not kill him. I think I didn't have a dagger or something like that, but I could choke him out. I was like, okay, cool, yeah, let me choke him out. That's one less person I have to worry about. Get him choked out. That alerts the other guy, and the other guy comes at me with like a bow, and I'm hiding behind a tree. Like, fat guy behind, a light post. Like, it's like just, and
can't see
the guy
me.
just keeps, yeah, exactly. The guy keeps hitting the tree, and I'm waiting for him to shoot. And he does. It hits the tree. I run around the tree, rush him, and basically tackle him. And then we get into a fight. And I still don't have a sword. The original kit that you get as a guardsman, you just get like a club, like a wooden stick to use. So I still have this stupid wooden stick, and this guy's got like this whole big old scimitar thing that he's fighting me with. I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes. I take him out with the stick somehow, and it just knocks him out. It doesn't kill him outright. So I have to do like a coup de grace while he's on the ground. And I'm like, wait a minute. I only choked out the other guy. How long does he stay choked out for?
Oh, right.
He was still out during this entire fight. So I run over there and take him out as well. I'm like, cool. Meanwhile, the Lord is still talking about, hey, there's like a third guy. And I'm like, where is this third person?
What are you talking
like,
about?
I only ever saw two. I wait a moment to see if I can hear anything. Nothing moves. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let the prince out, and then we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happens. I don't know what was going on with this third guy. Maybe there
Weird.
was, and he was off, walking the perimeter because they do a lot of that, where it's not necessarily all scripted. There is a lot of like, okay, yeah, this camp had 5 people in it, but 2 of them are actually at the camp. The other 3 are actually out doing something,
Oh, sure.
either like hunting or like surveying the perimeter or anything like that. So there could have been a third.
Mm-hmm.
They just weren't close enough to hear all the ruckus I was making with my big billy stick that I was running around
Right.
with. So we get the prince, we get out of there, and everyone is happy that or not the prince, God, I did it again, the Lord, and everyone is happy that I saved the younger Lord, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where I left off
All right.
with
Things
this
are
game right
looking
now.
up for old Henry.
Somehow,
Mm-hmm.
all he has to do is just shut his mouth. That's all he has
Just,
to do.
just
It's like,
shush for 2 seconds.
don't, yeah, just stop talking, please, because
Yeah.
I don't want to have to fight an entire garrison when you get winded walking up 2 flights of steps, dude.
Right.
Come on.
Man.
So yeah, it's still enjoyable. I'm not 100% with this combat system because maybe it's not even that old of a game. I think this came out in like 2016 or something like that. But
Right.
it feels wonky enough, and I think a lot of that is just like once I get my proficiencies up and stuff like that, I think it will play better. But right now, it's like I can hit right trigger because I am playing on the controller on PC, and it takes a moment or two before you start swinging.
Mm.
So it's like when I'm getting attacked and I'm like, I have an opening, let's attack. And Henry's like, oh, let me wind up for this and miss because the guy backed up. And it's like, dude, come
Oh,
on, dude, come
right.
on. So I'm guessing it'll get better. I'll find out as I keep playing. But yeah, I'm still having a ton of fun picking up flowers and stuff. I
Right.
got over encumbered picking up so many flowers.
Incredible.
So, and I still have to figure out where to sell them. I have all these flowers and no one to sell them to.
That's right. But you
So
smell great.
exactly. I still get that +2 charisma bonus
right.
for flower powers.
Right.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing this week.
All right. I also have 2 games here. Let's switch over to this footage. 2 Point Museum. I spent a bunch of time playing this week. I have unlocked a bunch of new stuff here. There's a bunch of new features in this that I think are actually really neat. I talked last week about the expeditions you send crew members out to.
Yeah.
What I don't think I realized, or I don't think I got into last week, was sometimes you will rescue, or you'll like get a piece of an exhibit on an exhibition, and you have to redo that exhibition to get all of the individual pieces. So it'll be like, oh, here's
okay.
just like the spine of a dinosaur. Next time you do it, you get the ribs. Next time you get the head. And like, usually when you go do the expedition, there are 2 or 3 different things you can get from it. So you might not necessarily get another piece of the thing you're looking to get. Sometimes you might get just a one-off showpiece. You might get something totally different. You might just get XP for the people that went. Thankfully, if you get a one of the first things you get from like an archaeological standpoint is just it's a like rock floppy disk. So like if you get another one of those, you can actually feed it into a machine and have that kind of level up a bunch of your different stuff. So if you're getting duplicates, you can analyze them and get a bunch of bonuses off of that, which is really great. That way it's not just like, you're not like throwing money into the gotcha machine and then coming back with nothing. So I think that helps a lot.
When they come back with like a partial, can you start like building an exhibit around that even though you don't have the full thing, or do you need everything before? Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is really great because like you can put down kind of the base and then the first piece, and then you still know, because there are bonuses around an exhibit. They call them buzz bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically like, how many related decorations can you put around a piece that will make visitors more interested to come and see it? And then the more buzz that an individual, like a patron has or a visitor has, the more likely they are to leave you a donation, and the bigger the donation will be. So you're kind of encouraged to put down a piece and then decorate it with similar things. Like if you're putting down a prehistory thing, you want to put a
Yeah.
couple of prehistory things around it, and then there will be a bonus item or a bonus objective on that exhibit that will give you kind of a buzz boost for doing it. And sometimes it's like, oh, put this is like a dinosaur exhibit, put a dinosaur head on the wall, and that will give you a buzz boost. Um, but sometimes it can be make sure there's no litter around this exhibit, or make sure there's another dinosaur exhibit right next to it, or put this next to an aquarium, or things like that. So sometimes it's just like put a bunch of stuff around it, but sometimes it will be okay, I need to kind of reshuffle this area in my
Yeah.
museum to kind of make sure they get all the bonuses from all of this stuff. So it's
Yeah, that's cool that you can actually build it out like a actual museum, because it is real
yeah,
fun where it's like, hey, here's like going through like the universe, and then we're going through the inside of a human body, and now we're looking at geodes, you
yeah,
know.
like it's really interesting too, because like so I unlocked some additional stuff. There's a thing in the game I'm not really using. I get the point, but they have staff only areas. So
Mhm.
essentially, and staff only doors. And what they're trying to do is encouraging you to build out like an exhibit area of like, oh, I unlocked a bunch of botany stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
here are all my botany exhibits, and I decorate it like a garden, even though like some of them are like stink plants, or this plant eats people and turns them into clowns. It's like it's still like a 2 point game, so
Yeah.
hey, it's still going to be pretty goofy. Um, but they have these. You could kind of build back hallways to allow your staff to kind of go from point A to point F faster than the visitors would. I don't
Gotcha.
really do that. Like, I get why the system is like that. I don't really do that, though, because I have so many exhibits I need to display that taking space away from it to do this kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. But I might have to get to it later in the game, because they really kind of impressed upon you. Like, you probably want to do this because you want to guide visitors through your museum in a specific way if you want them to. So, like, you look at the marine stuff first, and then prehistory, and then this, and then that, and then they kind of hit the gift shop, and then they leave.
Yeah.
So I haven't really messed with that too much. What I have messed with, and I think is kind of an interesting system, is giving tours. So you put down this little tour spot, and um, only exhibitors that have a specific skill can run it. But you kind of guide people through a set number of exhibits. Say like, okay, you hit this one first, then this one second. You kind of go around here, and then you hit this one third, and the fourth one here is the last one. So I've been messing a little bit with that of like, oh, okay, cool. If I group all of these together, like visitors really like if you give them a tour of similar things. So like,
Yeah.
okay, all my aquariums are going to be here, and you go on a little quick tour on it. They give you a bunch of big donations at the end, which is really great, and they kind of like the whole thing quite a bit more at the end. So there's kind of a, I like that they're giving me more systems. Is I think my concern going into museum was if it's just like hospital and campus, but we're just running a museum, that would be fine. But I'd be a little bit disappointed. But all of these systems that they're kind of introducing have been way more interesting than I was expecting, because I wasn't expecting to have to run all of these stuff, like run all of this stuff in a different way than you had to run the other stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and then On top of that, I unlocked a bunch of additional uh, museums to run. So the way they have this game uh, set up is really interesting because I don't think there are going to be that many individual museums. So it's not going to be like the other two games where it's like you have 30 hospitals you're going to run and you're going to go in there and get 3 stars and you're going to move on. What you've been doing in this one is you go into a museum, they teach you a bunch of systems, and then you get 1 star, and they tell you to go to another one. And then they teach you a bunch of additional systems at that next museum, and then you get another star, and they have you go back to the previous museum to use all of that stuff you just learned to improve that museum until you get to 2 stars. And then you unlock a third museum, and you're kind of like bouncing between museums in a way that I think keeps it kind of fresh of, I'm not in the Marine Museum until I get 5 stars or 3 stars or whatever. I'm kind of getting a little bit of everything in all of these different museums. So I unlocked 2 new ones. The fourth one I haven't really started, so I'm not really going to talk about that too much. The third one is a supernatural museum. And it takes place in a series of haunted mansions that are on these grounds that somehow you have kind of gotten to build into museums. But the real rough part about it is because they're protected historical landmarks, you can't change the building. So you're kind of like squeezing stuff in wherever you can. This one had one of the more entertaining, like 4-part exhibits that I was taking. I got the first part, and I was like, man, this looks really weird. Like, why is there this empty stage with this guy in the back, and he like looks like a pirate captain? Like, what is happening here? I didn't realize that was one that you had to go back and get multiple times, and it's like a haunted Chuck E. Cheese animatronic thing. So like
Nice.
every time you go, you have another animatronic that gets placed on the stage. So that was kind of one of the more fun ones to do. But that museum is run pretty differently because as part of when you're going out to do expeditions, you're coming back with ghosts. And your job in that museum is to give them a room, essentially like a dorm room, that hosts like 1 to 3 ghosts, and you have to keep them all happy with the decoration and the theme in the room and the other ghosts that they're with. Like, they can't fight with the other ghosts, because if they get unhappy, they break out and they cause havoc in the museum itself.
It's just all part of the show.
Yeah, it's just all part of running a museum. But like, I really like that each one of these museums is significantly different from, like, the prehistory one is really different from running an aquarium, where you have to make sure that each aquarium has fish that won't eat each other, and each fish has a different temperature and a different type of food, so you're kind of managing all of that stuff. The supernatural one is really different. And then on top of that, a thing I didn't realize last week is that each museum has its own expedition map. So the expeditions you're sending people out to go do in the first museum, there's like 25, something like that, points of interest on that map that you can send people to go out and get stuff in. That's totally different from the expedition map for the aquatic museum. That has like another 20 something points of interest. Same with the supernatural one, that has another 20. So like, it's really interesting to see. That's sort of why I think there aren't going to be that many museums, because I can't see them doing like 20 maps of 20 points of interest that you're doing. That would be a lot to sort of manage. But there's a lot in this. I'm really impressed with how they've kind of taken the 2-point formula here and really changed it in a way that I wasn't expecting them to do. Like, this is, you're still like building rooms, and you're still kind of making people happy, and you're kind of managing your staff and all that stuff, but it all feels pretty different in a way that I think feels really interesting and feels really good. So it's not just, get to, like I said, get to 3 stars, manage your staff. This museum has grumpy staff in it. Like, it doesn't really have that. It feels like there's kind of more meat on the bone this time compared to the other two, which I wasn't really expecting, and I'm having a blast with it. I This is kind of the thing that I've been playing the most. Again, like I talked about last week, I'm happy that is a kid-friendly game too, so I can play, as
Yeah.
a direct opposite of the next game I'll be talking about. It's kind of nice that I have something I can play, and my kid giggles too when I show him, like, oh, look at this fish I got. It's a clownfish. It just has like a big clown wig and like a red nose on it. It's just like, okay, these are pretty easy jokes, but it's pretty great. So yeah.
Can you make like a decent sized museum? Like, could you eventually make a Smithsonian, maybe?
So if that's not where you eventually go, then which it might, I'm not sure. Um,
Yeah.
there is sandbox mode returning in this.
Oh, okay.
And in the previous one, sandbox mode basically just gives you like the largest plot of land they possibly can that's empty, and they said just go nuts, just build whatever you want. I think there's a handful of trophies in sandbox mode, so I'll have to play that at some point. But I'm expecting that to kind of be, if you don't have to run that as like the last one where it's like, oh, you have a little bit of everything. I'm expecting that to be the kind of like, well, here's my marine wing, and here's my supernatural wing, and here's
That's what I was thinking too. Is like that'd be pretty sweet. But I
yeah.
can understand keeping it all separate since they sound like they're fairly different systems that you're interacting with between each one too.
Well, and the museum I just started this morning, because I actually got a chance to play this for about an hour this morning. It takes place in this like desert area where a shady science company has abandoned the land because of something terrible that happened underground. Don't ask about it. We legally can't tell you about it. And as part of that, you're running that museum significantly differently because you're going out on expeditions to get raw materials and blueprints for scientific creations, and then crafting those in the museum to then display them. But
Mhm.
some of them aren't exhibits. Some of them are improvements, like automation improvements for your museum. So like the first one you get is a essentially like a wide area sprinkler system for your botany exhibits. So it's just like you don't have to worry so much about your botany experts having to water these regularly. We've moved that over to just make sure your maintenance staff keeps on top of fixing this thing, and it will water everything in this area. And as part of that, sort of what I'm figuring out at the beginning in this one is you can upgrade each one of these machines, but each one of these machines to get from like level 1 to level 2 has a set of objectives. So that one you discover at the beginning, to upgrade it to level 2 has an objective of you need to display 10 different botany exhibits in that museum to unlock the blueprint for the second one. So
Gotcha.
as part of that, I'm going from that exhibition map or that expedition map to the very first one to get botany samples from that one to display in this museum. To like, so now I have kind of two different types of exhibits that I'm displaying now to kind of work on getting these upgrades and displaying them. So I think I'm
Cool.
kind of like I think the game's kind of building me to that thing of like maybe the last map will be okay. Here's like all 5 or 6 or whatever types. You have to keep them all happy, keep everybody employed, and keep everybody like keep all the plates spinning on this one specific one.
Cool.
So it's cool. I'm really having a lot of fun with it. I think part of it is also like it's the right game at the right time of like I'm not playing anything else that's like this, but also it's just really good. So I'm having a blast. My only other game this week is another Sega game, which is like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Spending a lot of time in Hawaii, just in the open world stuff, taking the pictures of all the stuff for Aloe Happy. It's like a scavenger hunt, like a photo scavenger hunt essentially. But a lot of the rewards you get, it's like 15 pictures in an area, and a lot of it is like if you see a unique looking statue in a park, you're probably gonna have to take a picture of that. And thankfully they have it'll have like a little camera icon on top of it where it's like, all right, just find the right angle you need to do. The camera icon will turn green. You take a picture of it. And doing a lot of that, hunting down a lot of the scumbags in town for another side quest. And thankfully, a lot of that has given me a ton of cash that I have then turned into upgrades for my pirate ship. So my pirate ship is doing a lot more damage at this point when I'm kind of out in the high seas. Which
Nice.
I wasn't really feeling super confident about the damage I was doing originally, so that has made me feel really great because a lot of times you're sailing from point A to point B and you run into like 3 ships and they're all firing on you at the same time. You're kind of shooting cannons out of both sides of your ship and you have a machine gun straight on, but I was like, I never felt like I was doing that much damage. But now that I've been scouring town and getting all these materials and I can create new cannons, those are way stronger. I can upgrade my machine gun. That stuff feels way better at this point.
Still funny seeing like an old colonial ship
Yes.
with machine guns.
Yeah, it's very much like it's funny because like you have this whole crew on this like wooden like 1800s pirate ship that you can just also leave the wheel of to fire a rocket launcher at a bunch of ships. Like it's very much a Yakuza game, but still really leaning into the whole pirate thing. And a lot of the pirate stuff is interesting because you can sail to these random islands that are all over the place and disembark and fight a bunch of dudes and open up a treasure chest at the end, and you get like a piece of treasure, and you get a bunch of money and like pirate renown at the end. So that's been pretty fun. I have run into the game's celebrity cameo, which is AEW pro wrestler Samoa Joe. He is in the game. They scanned him Kojima-Style. I am playing in Japanese, so I've heard he does a pretty good job on his voice acting in the English version. I don't think that's him in doing the Japanese voiceover. So that has been pretty interesting. It's like really isn't a spoiler. I'm gonna try and like talk around this a little bit. But like I finished chapter 2. It looks like the game only has 5 chapters, which makes sense because I think that was how many the Man Who Erased His Name had. Either that was 5 chapters or like 5 chapters and an epilogue, but it's largely the same.
Yeah.
And like each of the mainline games usually has around 15. So that sounds about right. But I finished chapter 2 and kind of took the next step on the story. My big the big thing preventing me from doing that at this point was largely the Madlantis stuff, which is like the like ship versus ship battling Coliseum area. I had to progress a whole bunch of stuff in there, and that kind of I needed to like do a bunch of upgrades, and it was a bunch more stuff than I kind of was expecting. I shouldn't be surprised that the story is going in the direction of, hey, that island from the last game, things seemed a little bit weird about that at the end of the game, right? And I was like, yeah, you're right. Things did seem a little weird. All right, let's go figure it out. Let's go solve these problems. So I'm really curious to see where that whole storyline goes. I'll put it plainly, I really didn't like a lot of that in Infinite Wealth. I really didn't think that was the strongest part of that game. That was a lot of the second half, where I felt like the Kiryu stuff was getting stronger in the second half of Infinite Wealth, and the Ichiban stuff was getting a little bit weaker. So going back to that feels weird in a way that I'm not sure if we're kind of wrapping up loose ends in that game and maybe not leading to the next game, but I'm not entirely sure. So I'm a little... It's okay so far, but the story isn't really what I'm in it for quite yet. I also have a bit of a struggle too, because I like Majima, but I'm still a little worried that this is going to be too much of him. Like, he's really great when he pops up for an hour or two in a game and just gives Kiryu the business, and then you play a mini game where he's just popping up out of sewer grates for the rest of the game.
I was gonna say, Majima everywhere is one of my favorite things.
And like, that's really good, because like he pops up when you're like in the middle of doing something or going from point A to point B. You have a big fight with him, and then he like poof disappears, and then you don't see him for another hour or two. So I'm a little bit concerned about this game focusing so much on him as the main character, especially because he is really taking Noah, the kid, under his wing, and they're kind of buddies. I'm still not entirely sure how that's gonna work overall, but we'll see as we kind of continue to go here. But a lot of this week, especially because I wasn't feeling well this week, is like, let's hop into side quests, let's do sub stories, and let's unlock stuff in Hawaii, and let's take a bunch of pictures and beat up a bunch of thugs and upgrade all of our skills, so that now when I fight a boss fight, I'm just wrecking it completely. So that's the, like we were talking about with Daybreak 2, where it's kind of like you've put the time investment in to like get all this money and get all the kind of renown in this game to like boost and max out your skills.
Yep.
I'm really seeing that stuff paying off of like, oh, I'm gonna fight like a 5-star bad guy in town, and I wreck him. It's like, all right, that feels pretty good.
Feels good.
Yeah. But not too much more to say about this, because a lot of it was just, you give me the open world and you unlock a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna do all the open world stuff. So that was mostly my week, which is largely like my Yakuza weakness of just like, yeah, I'm gonna dine at every restaurant. Let's do that. I'm gonna go take all these pictures. I'm gonna go, make friends. You still have the social media thing from the last game. So you're like, there's 200 more people to make friends with as you're walking around town. I'm doing the Aloha thing like usual. So all of that is still great.
Do you have your Segway?
Yes, you do. The
okay, I've seen some interesting videos with that thing.
What do they call it? The Street Surfer, I think it is. Yeah, it works exactly the same way as it did before. And thankfully, I've been using it a little bit here and there to do the automatic driving thing. So you put a pin in the map, you hit R2, and it just goes. Every once in a while, you run into some enemies, but like, it's pretty ridiculous. So, yeah, these games are great. Even when it's like a game that I'm not clicking with as much as the other ones, I'm still having a really great time. It's just sort of like, oh, it's not a 10 out of 10, maybe it's like an 8 out of 10. But
still enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's all I'm playing this week. Let's take a break. Oh man, all right, I'm gonna take a little bit of a drink here. Probably close these blinds because I look like a ghost. Went to go shave this morning. My electric razor just is dead. Like fully charged and everything. I push the button to turn it on and it like buzzes for half a second and turns off. I was like, cool, that's great, good, thanks. Really needed to shave today, but that's okay. Do that later.
I haven't used an electric shaver in so long. I never had a whole lot of luck with them when I first tried them out. And maybe they're different now. I don't know, because it's been decades at this point.
Yeah, they're much better now.
Yeah, because I just remember it was like, it's like having a weak dishwasher. It's like, okay, yeah, I ran it through there, but I still have to go through and clean it up afterwards.
That's right,
you
yeah.
know?
No, thankfully, and like, who knows if that's like the type of hair that I have or like the type of blades or whatever. Like, it works for me, but it's definitely one of those things of like, if it doesn't work for someone else, I totally understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. Doing analog shaving has worked just fine for me.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, like, why would you change it at this point if it just works? It's like,
yeah,
I don't want to do this in the first place, so.
Exactly.
Okay, let's open up. Oh, I gotta ban someone in my chat here real quick.
Ooh.
It's another.
Get clicks. Go to this website.
Go here for the. It's very much like the SMS spam you see nowadays, where it's like, reply Y to this text and then come back to it and click on the link. It's like, come on, man.
My wife, speaking of those, we've started getting like a bunch of mailers recently for my wife using her maiden name. We've been married for almost 20 years now. So, like, when that first started showing, like, the first one that showed up, I'm like, huh, that's weird. And then, like, the next day, we get, like, 2 more flyers with her maiden name on it. I'm like, there must have been a data breach somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I get an email. It's like, MGM data breach. I'm like, there it is.
There you go. That's the old chestnut.
Yep. It's, like, super weird. It's like, they got the address correct. They just don't have her name correct. And it's like, that's weird. Okay.
All right. Are you ready to wrap this guy up?
Oh, yes.
All right. Let's get started with releases in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of March 10th, 2025. Rise of the Ronin comes out on the PC. I didn't play this. Did you?
No, I want to.
What's really wild about this is I feel like there was so much excitement coming around this when it was about released last year, 2 years ago.
For the consoles, yeah.
And I don't know anybody that played it. And it doesn't seem like people didn't dislike it, but it just seemed like people were sort of like, yeah, I'll get around to it eventually, I guess.
That's actually what I was just sitting here thinking. Was like, how was this reviewed? Because I remember when it came out, people seeming to be positive about it, but then like it just fell off. Like,
right.
I haven't heard anyone talk about this game.
Right.
But it's still on my list of games to eventually pick up. So
it seems very cool, and I wonder too how much of it has been like Ghost of Yote was announced, and I think people are like, I'll wait for that one. Like, I wonder how much of that, especially from like a console standpoint, was just like, oh, I'll wait for the other one. I know I like the first one. I'll just wait for that one. So
possibly,
yeah.
Next we have Ghost of Yote at home.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Next game here, Wanderstop, comes out PS5, Series consoles, and PC. This is published by Annapurna Interactive, one of their last handful of games that they're going to publish that they already had deals with. This is developed by Ivy Road, which I didn't realize it's like this rogues gallery of developers. It's Davey Redden, who developed Stanley Parable and the Beginner's Guide, Carla Zamonja, who worked on Gone Home and Bioshock 2 Minerva's Den, and then C418, who's the composer for Minecraft, they came together to make this game, what they say is a narrative-centric, cozy game about change and tea. So,
Okay.
I mean, I'm interested in most things that Annapurna published, just due to their uniqueness. And then you put all these incredible developers on top of it too, and I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I could play a cozy game about change and tea. Why not? I've also been seeing speaking of Annapurna, I'm seeing some rumblings too out there of like, hey man, maybe we're getting the gang back together to start publishing some games again. I was like, ooh, okay, yeah, all right. Hopefully. So that's Wanderstop coming out this week. Next game here, coming to PlayStation platforms, Dungeons of Hinterberg comes to PS4 and PS5. This came to PC and Xbox consoles last year. It was on Game Pass for quite a while too. I don't remember if it is anymore, but I think wouldn't you know it, it's been about a year. So now it's coming out to PlayStation platforms as well. People seem to really like this, and I wanted to check this out because it's like a hack and slash dungeon RPG, but also like a making friends and maybe smooching people in the city sort of game, kind of smushing the two of them together. People seem to really like this game, but I never got around to it on PC, so maybe the PS5 version will be pretty good. But it seems cool. People seem to like that last year, so that's coming out to PlayStation platforms this week. Next up, a game called Macho or Macho. I'm not entirely sure. It's Matcho. Comes out PS5, Linux, and PC. It is a match 3 FPS, and I didn't know what that was until I watched the trailer. And basically, you're doing like, what was that Japanese magic slinging game we liked? Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah,
you're doing like Ghostwire Tokyo, like hand pew 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 sort of things, but you're shooting like 3 red robots floating in the sky to match them, and then use their like red robot powers to go do something. So really interesting in a way that was like, yeah, okay, you're making a match 3 FPS. How does that work? And watching the trailer, I'm like, okay, sure, yeah. Yeah, okay, you're making a match 3 FPS. Sure. So, interesting. Curious to see how this one's going to do, but I like that they're trying to come up with something at least a little bit different here and make more. We saw Creepy Right at Dinosaur Mansion 3 do something a little bit with a Metroidvania, so why not do like a match 3 FPS? That's Macho, probably. I don't know.
I'm gonna guess Macho. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like, game developers, if you could have your trailer just pronounce the name of the game, that would be really great. I don't care how you like sell it, but at the end of it, it could be like, and pick up Macho or Macho, whatever. Just that would help people like me a whole lot. Thanks. Last game here, and the one I really wish Moon was here for, WWE 2K25 comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. This seems largely kind of the next step from the previous ones. They're really trying to sell a lot of the like creating your character and doing
career mode, or
like career. They're like, celebrate the bloodline in Showcase and stuff like that, complete online in My GM and stuff like that. So like they're doing more of that stuff. Like, it still looks really good, and I there seems to be a ton of features. It seems like they're adding a bunch of additional like arenas for you to fight in, but I don't know, man. I feel like the AEW...
I was gonna say, was last year the one that everyone was like, oh, this is actually good?
I think the last year was the one that people were like, this one isn't isn't totally broken when it launched, because like the
Yeah.
AEW one, I think came out of the gate pretty strong, and I think over patches and DLC and stuff got stronger, and I think the WWE games have had a hard time kind of maintaining that quality year over year, and I struggle to keep it straight of like which ones got skipped. Like, was
Yeah.
2K24, did that one come out or did they skip? Is 23 out or did they skip that one? So like that's sort of the struggle that I kind of come up with. Oh god, I forgot. They also have the thing this year where it's only on the current gen consoles, where they have when you're doing multiplayer, you have like a big open world area to explore around, that you can like horse around in and do stuff in while you're like waiting between matches or things. So
Okay.
that's kind of neat. It seems almost like what like Mortal Kombat did. I think it's probably smaller than the Street Fighter one. But the Street Fighter one was basically like get into a giant city and just pick fights with everybody who's around you.
Which is a cool lobby.
Yeah, I like more lobbies other than like you have 13 minutes in your queue, 16 people ahead of you, and it's just like a spinning wheel. Like,
Yeah.
want something that's a little bit more cool. So we'll see. I don't know if Moon's gonna pick this up. He hasn't really talked about it. I'm sort of assuming not, because I think he's in more of the AEW camp rather than the WWE. But we'll see.
But you know, until he says differently, this is the one to get.
That's right. Yep. Moon Pierce says, puts his stamp on it. He loves it. Yeah. So we'll hope we might hear from him on that in future weeks, but I'm not entirely sure. All right. That's all of our releases, and that's our episode for this week. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. You visit us at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Don't forget to join our Discord server, discord.tvgp.tv. We do have the best community on the internet, like we keep saying. It's a great group of peeps over there. If you're playing Monster Hunter Wilds, there's a great and very active channel over there of hanging out with fellow hunters and doing monster hunting things, I guess. So you can go check them out over there. And what else? YouTube channel. Go like, comment, subscribe over there. As we always mention, everything that goes on the public feed has a video version as well over there. See some gameplay, see us, see some trailers, all that good stuff. Also, don't forget patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
$5 a month is the recommended tier. That's per month, not per episode. I think it's a pretty great deal, if I do say so myself. You get all the cool
for
stuff.
All the content that you get, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it's quite a lot of content. If you can't support us financially, totally understand. Following us on Blue Sky, that helps. Liking and reposting that stuff, that helps quite a bit. And don't forget, you can rate and review positively only, please, this show on your podcatcher of choice if you are able to. That stuff really does help us get recommended and find a larger audience. So I think that's it for this week. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Yep. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Since we've made it to this point,
yeah,
I just want to say out loud that I have been relentlessly mocked by my own family.
Oh, no.
For not being able to say... Boy, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I can say it again.
Oh, no. Wait, was it from the title last week?
From last week.
Oh, no. What were you trying to say?
So, in my mind, it is still defaulted to cinnamon.
Okay.
But synonyms. There we go.
Chartreuse.
I cannot say it fast, but I can say it.
You just gotta take your time. Synonym.
It was a whole word where it's like that word would randomly pop into my mind throughout the week. And
3 o'clock in the morning. Synonym. Yeah. Just like go back to bed.
And then all this stuff with my wife too, when she had seen the stuff on Discord, it's like, these guys are not mocking you hard enough.
True love.
Yep.
All right, what are your titles for this week?
So I have, let me scroll back up, a supernatural museum, the ghost dorm, don't ask about it, we legally can't tell you, and scanned him Kojima style.
Hold on, I gotta write down a ghost dorm, and then scanned him, comma, Kojima style. I just like saying Kojima style. I've dabbled in some stuff. I learned the battle system, a supernatural museum, a ghost dorm, and scanned him Kojima style. I feel like scanned him is probably our winner.
Yeah, I feel Kojima almost gets an easy pass with us a lot of times.
Yeah,
But
hey man, you get to have people give you enough money to make your wacky stuff. I'm gonna respect it.
exactly, if you can successfully release stuff and not be a wrongin,
That's right. I'll give you the credit. Yeah. All right, I'll circle scanned him Kojima style.
that'll be a bad day if we find out.
Oh, the industry crumbles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 907 for March 10th, 2025. Scanned him Kojima style.
The real reason Moon is not here today.
He's in the Matrix now. There's nothing we could do.
Yeah.
Kojima took him. Look for him next in Death Stranding 2.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, look forward to the next Death Stranding trailer.
Can't wait until we fire up Death Stranding 2 and Moon is just like a hologram of like keep on keeping on. Like
Yeah, exactly.
You
just hear someone in the background. The ones are numbered.
That's right. Oh man. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for hanging out, watching us, listening. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.